Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Russell. I'm the president of the Coolum Men's Shed. I'd like to welcome you all here this morning. I'd like to thank you for coming and sharing in this occasion, the opening of our shed. I have a few special guests here today. Sorry about the motocross track. We did try to organise them to not be there today, but cross wires somewhere. I've got a few special guests here today who I'd like to mention. Mr. Mark Jameson, the Mayor of the Sunshine Coast Regional Council. The Member for Maroochydore, Fiona Simpson. The Member for Fairfax, Mr. Ted O'Brien. And our local Division 9 Councillor, Steve Robinson. Thank you. Unfortunately, our shed patron, Mr. Peter Wellington, and member for Nicholin, he was coming this morning, but due to circumstances out of his control, he can't make it, so thank you, Peter. We have a few people from our organisation, the Australian Men's Shed Association. Mel White and Liz McDonald, they've driven up to be here today. Thank you, girls. Also, we have a gentleman from the Queensland Men's Shed Association, Ben Warner. Ben's going to talk a bit later. There's a lady I'd like to acknowledge, Eleanor Robinson. Eleanor is the wife of our past president, John Robinson. John, we lost last Christmas. Eleanor moved to Canberra to be with her family, but when she found out that this event was on, she's especially come up to be with us today. So thank you, Eleanor. I'd just like to outline a bit of a brief history of our shed, where we've come from and how we got started and how we achieved what we have today. In October 2012, the Coolum Lions were thinking of starting a men's shed group, and there was a few people who belonged to another shed who were interested, so we had a meeting. There was over 40 people attended that meeting, held in the Lions Den in Coolum. That night we formed a committee. The Lions donated $1,000 and put in an account to start the men's shed, and they were going to sit with us for the first year of our operation. Within 6 months all our formalities had been completed, we were incorporated and all the necessary paperwork had been done. Our committee was doing such a good job that the Lions took a back seat and we started running our own affairs. We were lucky enough to rent a small shed here in the industrial estate. We had that shed for 18 months. We then had to vacate. From there we occupied 2 more sheds, one out the back of Coolum, one in here again. We had a strong need for our own shed, so we started looking for land, and land was fairly hard to find in Coolum. There was, we spent a long time looking, but eventually this site here was identified. Now this site belongs to Economic Development Queensland, the state government. So we headed off to see Peter Wellington and asked if Peter could make representation to the government for us for this block of land. Eventually it came through and we were granted the initial footprint here where the shed sits of 700 square metres. So that was really, really good. But then we had to think about funding, obviously to build the shed. So lots of grant applications were written. Hopefully the weather holds. Sorry, yeah. Lots of grant applications were written. Some were successful, some weren't. But eventually we were successful in obtaining enough money to start the project. Grant money came to us from many sources, including the federal government, Sunshine Coast Regional Council and the Lotteries Commission. Other money came from various organisations, including the Master Builders Association, and the Bendigo Bank. There we go. Money was also lent to us by some of our members. We did a lot of fundraising. I think we must have cooked about 100,000 sausages at Bunnings. Our shed members have made over 600 cutting boards and sold them. That has netted us about $21,000. Incidentally, we've got some on sale here today, so you can feel inclined. The end result is that we now have a shed to be proud of. It's just such a fabulous thing to have our own shed and see our dream come true, and we can now build our program for many, many people. Hopefully, we can offer more activities to our members. We're currently working on a program to include guest speakers. How are we going? Is everyone dry? Sorry about this. This is what's meant to happen. Are we okay? If not, we can shift, but it should be right. We're looking. Are we right? Hope some information and help. When we okay, sorry. When we commenced the building project, we had no. No, I'm sorry. There we go again. The PA system's on the. When we started this building project, we had no idea how many people would help us. There are too many for us to thank personally or individually here today. So what we've done, we've set up a sponsor and supporters board, which is inside. So hopefully, if you have a chance, just have a look at that board and you'll see that the number of people who've helped us along the way. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank each and every one of those people. Without their help and support, this shed would never have happened. Of whom I would like to make special mention. I believe that the shed would not have happened without these people. First is Mrs. Debbie Johnson. Is Debbie here somewhere? Yep, there's Debbie. Yes, Debbie's company is Building Sunshine Coast Green. She's a design consultant. She offered her services to us free of charge. Without her guidance, we would... Okay, I'm sorry. So without Debbie's assistance, we would have been impossible to build this shed. She organised development, drew the plans, organised the building and planning application, and through her contact, she also arranged the necessary engineering work to be done. This was all done free of charge. So Debbie, thank you very much. The other person I'd like to know is Don Smith. Don's our builder. Necessary determined in our equation. Don's a very patient man. We engaged him about 18 months ago, and he sort of stuck with us through thick and thin, particularly several times. Our track row was a bit marginal, so Don, lucky enough, he had other work to go on with, so he used to sit up in around and what's necessary had to happen. We're back in business. Okay, thank you for that. Sorry about this racket mic. Don, yeah, being a patient man, I thank you very much, Don. It must have been hard to deal with a bunch of amateurs like us, particularly when you're dealing with a committee. There's lots of different opinions and thoughts, so thank you very much, Don. Okay, now today I've got a few guest speakers. The first gentleman, Dennis Green. Dennis was at our original meeting at the Coolum Lions Den. Den had just lost his wife and he wasn't in such a good frame, but to Dennis the shed means everything. So I'd like to call Dennis forward. I need a chair for Dennis, please, because Dennis has just come out of hospital. He was in hospital last week with pneumonia, so he'd just like to say a few words.
Can I get the pneumonia again, Ben?
Well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, each and every one of you for being here this afternoon and sharing this very, very special day with us all. The shed to me, having lost my darling lady back in 2012, I was at a very loose end. Nowhere to go, looking for something to do, and along come the Lines boys with the suggestion of putting the shed up. Well, here we are. To me, the shed has been a great help to get me where I am, to be amongst a group of guys who all work together, think together. From day one, I got the feeling they knew where I was coming from, and they quietly were there for me in the background, just checking to see how it's going. And that warmth and that bonding has grown stronger and stronger over the last 5 or 6 years, to a point now where it is a very important part of my life. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. Yeah, thanks, Dennis. And I reflect those words. Dennis is a great gentleman. He's kept us on the straight and narrow for lots of years, and we wish Dennis all the well and best for the future. We have another speaker, Sheree. Sheree's dad, Vince, was also an inaugural member for our shed. Unfortunately, we lost Vince last Christmas, so Sheree and Aileen are here. They'd like to say a few words, just to talk about what the shed means to the family as well. Sheree?
Good morning, everybody. Look, we're so excited and proud to be here today to celebrate the official opening of the Coolum Men's Shed. I'm Sheree Moore, and I'm here with my mum Amy and my daughter Ashley, and this is our story. My dad, Vince Amor, was involved with the Men's Shed organisation for many years. Originally, he started in Namble Shed, and when he met Russell Lunn and Frank Bates, they thought that Coolum was missing out on this wonderful organisation. So together with the help from the Coolum Lions Club, Dad, Russell and Frank went about setting up what is now the Coolum Men's Shed. It's had a number of homes on its way to where we are today. It's been exciting with lots of activities, both in the shed and further afield with markets, shows, and of course the sausage sizzle like New Seville Bunnings. Where am I? Raising the much needed funds for the new shed and spread the word to the community about the benefits of being involved with the men's shed. I would joke with Dad that he was off to go to men's club with his friends. Sorry. But in all seriousness, as much as they did different activities together to raise the funds and the profile for the Men's Shed organisation, it was the friendship and support that really was the offers of, I'm losing my spots, friendship and support that really was shone through. Last year, my mum was very sick. She was in hospital with aneurysms, and we're just so lucky to have her today. The Men's Shed community supported Dad, not just with words of encouragement, but offers to help and support him while Mum was so ill. Dad was back to his beloved Men's Shed as normal, and then on the 29th of December, I had to start making the heartbreaking calls to let people know that my dad, Vince Amor, I'll get to it, husband, father, grandfather, friend, and of course Men's Shedder, had passed away suddenly and unexpectedly. We really could never have imagined the support that we would receive from the Men's Shed community. Shed members, wives, partners, and members from other sheds were also lovingly supportive and generously helped us with the celebration of his life. They all came together to show us just what it meant to them and sharing the stories of his time with them. The offers of assistance since have been appreciated, and we can never thank each and every member enough for their kindness and support. Just know when he made his final journey, he took his men's shed cap with him. So wherever he is now, you can guarantee he's working on a new shed, so keep an eye out for him when you get there. We love hearing the stories from the different members of what the shed has done for them and how it has given them a new passion and something to look forward to. You see, men's shed just isn't about men coming together once or twice a week to build things and then going home. It is men coming together, working side by side to learn new skills and share with others. But they are not just sharing skills, they are sharing their lives and their hearts. So congratulations to each and every person involved in making today possible. Dad would be so proud. He would be standing over there in the corner somewhere, slightly offside. He was never wanted to be front and centre. So on behalf of my whole family, congratulations and thank you.
Yes, it's the men's shed moves in many ways, doesn't it? And you know, it not only affects our lives, but it affects our family lives as well. So I think that it's a really worthy organisation, and yeah, I just can't believe the thing at times. Now we've come to our official bit of our program where we'd like to open our shed. I'd like to call on the Mayor, Mr. Mark Jameson, to come forward. Mark will have a few words, and then we'll cut the ribbon. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Russell, and good morning, everybody. It's great to be here with you. Can I start by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which we gather, the Kabi and Jinnabara people, and pay my respects to their elders, both past, present and future. I'd like to acknowledge the member for Fairfax, Mr. Ted O'Brien, the member for Maroochydore, Ms. Fiona Simpson, my council colleague in Division 9, Representative Councillor Stephen Robinson, obviously President Russell, all the members of the shed, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. It's really great to be here, and I appreciate very much being invited to come along to such an important occasion on the Sunshine Coast. Facilities such as the men's shed are a very important part of our community, as we've heard here this morning, and that's why the Sunshine Coast Council was pleased to provide financial support of $25,000 through our community grants program to help with the construction of this building. But that was only part of almost $70,000 that council contributed, the balance of that being contributed by Councillor Robinson through his discretionary fund. So thanks, Steve, and good on you. The old saying that every man needs a shed, and particularly on a day like today, you need a shed when there's a bit of rain around, is one. This is one giant shed in Coolum's backyard that puts out the welcome mat to all, old and young, and the outcomes of that facility, or the development of this facility, we've heard in detail this morning. Sheds like this one really do play a major role in helping to improve men's health as well as their well-being while developing a strong local community. And I think, as I think of all the men's sheds across the coast, the good they do and the output they have really is difficult to measure in community value. But it's not just the physical health of men, but also the mental health, which is important as we all get older. Unfortunately, 1 in 2 Australian men have a mental health problem at some point in their life. That's 1 in 2. And 1 in 8 men will experience depression during their lifetime. So keeping the mind active, learning, interacting together, and generally enjoying yourself in a stress-free environment are all part of maintaining the healthy lifestyle that we want to make sure we have here on the Sunshine Coast. Places like the men's shed also help to ease the sometimes difficult transition men face from full-time employment to other activities in retirement. And they provide an additional link between the primary health network and the many men who have no regular contact beyond that network. There's also a great social interaction, hanging out with old mates and making new ones. And I know there's a lot of wives here this morning, and I'm sure they appreciate giving the guys an opportunity to get away and make the most of their opportunities as well. I'm sure there's a range of terms for that, but I'll leave that for your imagination. But I've no doubt from what I've seen before and what I've seen here already today, there really is great mateship amongst all the shedders here in Coolum. So to all of you who have contributed in big ways and small, and will continue into the future and lay the foundation for those that come after you, I'm here to say thank you, and on behalf of the 300,000 residents of the Sunshine Coast, congratulate you. And I think now we're going to officially cut the ribbon on the shed. And I might just add that this is the 50th anniversary of the naming of the Sunshine Coast. And I've managed to do quite a few ribbon cuttings this year and openings of different types. And I manage each time to snip a little piece off the ribbon, which I intend to put into a piece of art that will be released at some time into the future as a memento of what's been an outstanding 50th anniversary for the Sunshine Coast. And I've asked Russell if he would particularly have the men's shed produce something unique that can go into that artwork alongside the solar farm and the new CBD and the Mary Cairncross Centre and a whole range of other things that have happened this year, so that in years to come people can see how we celebrated with pride the 50th anniversary of our great Sunshine Coast. So thank you. So, as I said earlier, on behalf of all the residents of the Sunshine Coast, congratulations, and it's my very great honour to declare the men's shed at Coolum officially open.
Thank you, Mark. We're now open. We're now open for business. Fabulous. I've just got one more person I'd like to call forward. Ben Warner. Ben is the Secretary of the Queensland Men's Shed Association. Ben would just like to say a few words.
Yeah, thank you, Russell, and good morning to everybody, distinguished guests and families and visitors. It's my great privilege to be part of the men's shed movement. I've been a shedder myself in Brisbane in my own shed, and I've stuck my hand up as a volunteer, like all of us do, to try and do something for the networking of sheds around Queensland. And so it's been my real great privilege to be able to talk to sheds that exist in the remote outback, way up north, as well as the big metropolitan areas. You know, there are some sheds with 5 or 10 members and some with 300, 400 members. So it's a real strong, passionate experience for me. And I guess what I see the most is that men who have retired or cannot work any longer come together in the hope of companionship, somewhere to go, something to do. Maybe the wife asks them to find somewhere to go, otherwise they'll be in trouble. But in those years, which are years of retirement and quietness, such as these gentlemen here at Coolum, they've spent 5 or 6 years working hard, long, to bring this together. So my hearty congratulations to all those involved and their families for their support, and thank you very much. And on behalf of the Queensland Men's Shed Association, I'd like to present the certificate of membership. We have another committee member here, Mr. Ken Kipping, who's hiding somewhere. There he is over there. And Ken is our zone representative. So we divide the state up into various zones, and I think you've got 30-odd zones in your, 30-odd sheds in. So Ken looks after all these sheds in providing support and networking. So thank you to everybody, and thank you for the invitation. Thank you.
Ben has just presented us with a certificate of membership for the Queensland Men's Shed Association. So thank you, Ben. Well, that concludes our formal part of our festivities. We have provided morning tea, and now that the shed is opened, shortly we'll be able to wander through the workshop and have a look. Morning tea, coffee will be provided on the side veranda. The sandwiches and the traditional men's shed sausage sizzle will be available inside. But prior to that, I'd like to welcome our Shedders band. Now these boys have been practicing pretty hard. They want to sing to you our Shedders anthem. So I'd like to introduce Paul, Doug and Roscoe. And if you like to, I think a few of the boys have got some song sheets there, so you're welcome to join in or welcome to join the verse. You'll recognise the song, it's a pretty well known one from which we've adapted. So On behalf of myself and my committee, I'd like to thank each and every one of you for attending today. It's just been fabulous. It's so good to see such a good roll-up and hear all the support that we have. And I wish everyone all the best, and I think the Coolum men's shed's in safe hands, and hopefully we can go from strength to strength. So thank you very much.
Yeah, all us Coolum men need a shed.
Well, thank you, folks. Thanks very much.